Hey my honey sparkles, this is Lady Irony and I welcome you to the era of Scorpio and our divine translation, aka purification ritual, which lies in the energies of our zodiac sign of fire, Sagittarius. Why purification ritual? As always, I intended to translate for the era of Scorpio, and first I thought I was going to channel and translate as usual, but something was different somehow. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong about that. It's just an energy shift. It's just spirit telling me beforehand that something is going to be strongly different this time. And I need to adapt to it right in time as I continue with our translation. Well, long term short, this translation ended up being a cleansing, purification, and uplifting ritual in absolute silence. So this is why this video has two parts. I started with the bowel, which you can see on the screen. As I continued, I received information that the video I was just creating for you needs to continue in absolute stillness, in full silence. And not only that, it should be there for you as a sacred silent purification altar. Yes, I was called to create a silent altar for you to cut you off from dense energies and from consciously or unconsciously spreading tension-loaded, leashed, uncontrolled energies in all directions. But before we dive deeper, I want to mention that I translate the era of each zodiac, not the zodiac itself. Because although it is an era of a sign, it is actually influencing and affecting all other zodiacs as well. We're all students of life, interconnected by our souls. So it's not only about a specific zodiac, it's all about the energies we do all experience while journeying through its era, right? Yes, it's for us all, but of course it can happen that I direct the translated words towards that specific zodiac sign. At least you will know. And one note to add as well, this is a translation which includes a visual ASMR. You're welcome to use this video as your ASMR altar if you like, by just muting my voice. Well, you know best which sound or music helps you to chill or calm down, etc. So you can listen to what you like while simultaneously having a calming, in your case, a purification altar, if you like to have one. Well, our moods are always changing. Maybe you like to have such an altar, but want to switch, for example, between music genres, depending on your soul's wish or longing, or you don't want to listen to, well, to something at all, right? It's up to you, my dear ones, because no one can decide better than you what you need or wish. Okay, let's continue, because Spirit is waiting for me to tell you that some of you went way too far this year, and Spirit is saying those of you know and are fully aware that you have forcibly violated your karma, but you don't know now how to get rid of it. So let's say your karma points are in urgent need of attention, clarification, and purification, and need an account check, so to say. Because through violating your karma, there unfortunately grew negative karma on your account. And unfortunately, Spirit is loudly saying a lot of it. This is why Spirit has always sent you signs. There is an urgency to calm down and ground yourself by connecting to Mother Earth, which is the foundation of your journey and start an apprenticeship with an at your fire sign Sagittarius to collect knowledge and create balance. Why Saggy? Well, as the era of Scorpio started, it started with our Saggies. So our all general energy lies in the energies of Sagittarius. And this makes perfect sense when looking at what happened and still happens, and why those of you have arrived at this point, which now needs urgently a new calculation, so to say. Therefore, Saggy is the perfect one to poetically teach about ethics, philosophy, yes, even about how to handle, or to be more specific, how to balance, how to bend, focus, and transform aggression as well as egoism ethically, and how to use words consciously and so communicate properly without being hurtful. He is the poetic fire you didn't even imagine you're in need of. What is this or spirit telling us, may you ask? First of all, let's take a look at the source or the key or why, if you will. Where is it? What is it that you are struggling to handle? And let's see how we can help those souls to overcome all this tension and to at least see what you yourself can do, right? Well, Spirit is saying actually it started a long time ago. It's about a decade. But as we dived into the time of Aquarius, and especially 2025, into the time of the serpent and the number 9, your being, you yourself, got massively shaken, and that hits you hard, right? So hard that you lost your orientation, which is why you were strictly trying to stick to a self-created plan according to your very thoughts, just thoughts, to not freak out and hold your nuts together. But you did not realize that since you started this behavior, which should have been a survival plan, you yourself did in fact freak out and were destructive. It hits you so hard because you already are fighting with, let's say, your own eerie darkness. Considering the fact that Mars as the planet of wars and battles, and Pluto as the planet of the underworld, which are Scorpio's ruler planets, are not easy to handle at all, even if you are used to it in general. You have a hard time on this planet called Earth anyways. And this is why the reputation of our fellow Scorpio souls in between the other zodiacs on this planet or realm is, let's say, more or less suffering. You need to know that every incarnated and reincarnated being here on this planet has a purpose. Even if Scorpios themselves are suffering from a reputation lag, so to say, they're also here and there to change the collective awareness, to change our point of view. No doubt, experiencing Scorpio, aka both Mars and Pluto energies, can be challenging, especially for a few other zodiac signs. And I don't judge any Scorpio or planet here. To make it very clear, this is not what I'm saying here. Nothing to freak out about. Keep your nuts together, honey, especially if you're a Scorpio listening to this translation. It's a general translation, okay? Please be careful with your energies and think about your karma points. Keep those in mind, remember what happened, still happens. Calm down and release sensations of anger you may experience now, even in this moment, even just in this moment. You can also focus your attention to your breathing, if you will, or need. For those of you who need or wish for a tiny breath exercise, here's a very tiny one for you. You can sit, lie down, or stay. It's up to you, however it feels comfortable to you. Okay? So here we go. Close your eyes and put your right hand softly on your heart and your left hand on your belly area, aka your solar plexus. Breathe calmly in to the count of 3 and breathe nicely out to the count of 3. Once again, now breathe in to the count of 5 and breathe out to the count of 5. And one last time in full awareness. Breathe in to the count of 7 and breathe nicely and slowly and with full consciousness out to the count of 7. Just hold on for a second and just listen within your body. Sense your heartbeat and focus on your breath. And if you sense that your heart is beating too fast or the rhythm has strangely changed, try to calmly slow your breath down. Imagine creating a bridge of light between your hands and connect their energy to one another. Since you have connected the energies, you are now exchanging love, coming from your heart, and a warm light coming from your solar plexus. Imagine it like the yin and yang sign, continuously turning around to hold the perfect divine balance. The white dot in the dark area and the dark dot in the white area within that yin and yang sign are those exchanges, holding the perfect divine balance within. And so are you, by consciously connecting your heart with your solar plexus. You now create your balance within. You now create warmth, which is now spreading within and is covering your whole beautiful body, your soul and your mind, your very own satisfying triquetra, full of beautiful, fulfilling and grounded sensations of love and appreciation. And with those stunning sensations full of love and appreciation and a smile or a tiny smirk, breathe in full appreciation to the count of 4 and breathe nicely and slowly out to the count of 7. And after sensing yourself for a sec, open your eyes, wiggle your fingers and your whole body if you will, or if you feel it, and stretch yourself in all directions and keep smirking, my peeps. Okay, this was a bit longer than tiny, but anyways, I hope it helps those of you who needed or wished for a tiny calming meditation. Of course, you're welcome to use this shorty whenever you wish or feel. I will add a timestamp into this video so you can find that part more easily, okay? So now, relaxed and full with love, let's continue with the translation, my dear ones, okay? And Spirit is saying, as you remembered yourself now in this tiny meditation ritual, now Spirit is pointing out that it's again time to remember in the general sense. This is why we are here now, right? This is why Spirit has sent and is still sending you messages, which you also remember have unfortunately ignored and finally landed on at this point. Which is, by the way, why I now have to awake your source, your soul, and help you improving your soul. Yes, also this translation, which has now a little meditation part as well, contains messages. See how Spirit is literally fighting for you, in the good sense, of course, so that you find your inner direction back again. Let me tell you this. This is an extraordinary, amazing performance by Spirit and incredibly rare. Please keep that strongly in mind. So, my honey peeps, generally speaking, listening to this translation, this is an exercise tasked by Spirit for self-discovery, self-discipline, and self-reflection. It's your chance now to consciously awake your soul, turn your soul towards the light, aka the sun, and transmute your awareness to good, for good. Pardon me, instead of listening and creating hate or at least dense energy again. Well, you can hate me now and by that create new dense energy and heavy karma for yourself, by the way. This doesn't bother me at all because remember, it's your karma, not mine. You have to do the work. You have to live with maybe dramatic consequences, at least, when karma hits back again. But this is what neither me nor Spirit wants for you. We want to support you on your way to enlightenment. Keep that also in mind, dear. Of course, I'd also love to translate other things, more funny things, etc. This would be funnier and more calming for me as well, to be honest. But as I always say, tough and rough truth is what we can work with. There's something we can focus on and change by our very own individual free will. I point that out, our own free will, not others. And again, remember, when it's yours, you are mighty. You have the power to create changes and do some course correction for good. Okay? Imagine, wouldn't that be more fun to be calm and be crazily happy instead of non-stop carrying only darkness within us and do not have any fun at all? Remember the smile or maybe that satisfying smirk you hopefully catched while doing the little meditation exercise. That feels way better, right? Remember my words, which I always say, the truth is no more the truth as the time passes by. Meaning for you in this scenario that you still have the great opportunity to change the course as you are listening to this translation. Furthermore, this means that you, as my translation continues, your transformation or transmutation can happen or at least begin. If you are ready to finally release the actual dense truth and change the course by calibrating your compass right in time while listening to create a new and lighter reality of truth. So the truth, which was the truth before, is no more the truth, as you transformed darkness into light. By whom? By yourself, of course, honey. But here's the point. As I said, it's free will. It's on you. You have the power to create for good and to live within the good, or at least to find the balance between light and darkness, like the yin and yang symbol is showing us. Because you are complete. You don't need external tools or AI or something or someone else to be complete. It's all about you and your awareness. In which direction you decide to turn your awareness to, right? Is it for bad things so that you and your loved ones strongly suffer? Maybe even from health issues? Or is it good and you and your loved ones are fine, healthy, and happy? Spirit always telling me the word remember, remember, remember. I still and continuously hear that word remember. And Spirit is again and again reminding you through me that you should keep that tightly in mind. Because for those of you, this translation now and the supportive tiny meditation is, and as I mentioned, actually your very last message. And change to calibrate your inner scale. Remember the power, right? Remember it, please. Spirit is clearly telling me that otherwise, no synchronicities, signs, and symbols will appear anymore, meaning you carry a high risk to disconnect from your higher source, which would be not only sad, but kind of fatal as well. But we still need to keep in mind that Scorpio's ruler planets are in fact Mars and Pluto, the planets of wars and battles as well as the underworld. They are used to fight within their darkness, within the darkness, in between dark, eerie creatures, right? Imagine it like existing and continuously fighting for survival by non-stop facing death within a realm like purgatory, for example. There you need to be unstoppably ready to fight. And when you imagine yourself in such a realm, you get so much used to it that it is kind of normal at some point, and you are even not aware of your behavior and consciousness anymore, because at some point you are then part of that reality, which is then in fact, for this time, your reality. Well, when you get used to something, doesn't matter if it's good or not, you lose somehow the very awareness to it, and so your perception is logically switching as well because of routine, right? And this is why when thinking about Scorpio, aka Mars and Pluto energies, for some there pops drama, darkness, lack of perception, exaggeration, etc. into mind, as if it is a complete other dimension, right? And that's true actually, up to a specific point. But attention, alert, alert, or how I used to say it, beto. It's in fact true for us all, because we all have our own realms to survive through. Although we are one source that was separated through the energies of Earth since we appeared here on this realm of, let's say, programmed exams, which keep us unnecessarily busy and let us forget about our source and uniqueness. This is why we did that little meditation previously, to find thyself back again, and with that our uniqueness or your uniqueness. And busyness is a good point to catch here, because this is a fact we all experience as well. Human creatures, who decide to stay busy with the problems of especially others, or what they in their own mind believe to be problems. This is also an earth-based mechanism, a programming to let us suffer from the very beginning on. Here's a very simple and short example of how an external busyness can look like, shortly listed, without going into very detail, okay? So let's move on. You see rich humans, you suffer. You see poor humans, you suffer. You see ill humans, you suffer. You see healthy humans, you suffer. You see animals and their abilities, flying for example, or you see them suffer, you suffer. So it's a materialistic examination created, aka programmed by humans and suspicious forces, which let us non-stop feel miserable and keeps us stuck in that miserable box, or purgatory if you will. And what happens if you stay for far too long in such a realm? You adapt to it, because you have to survive. As I said before, it is then your reality. A movie pops into my mind right now called Pirates of the Caribbean. There is the ship called the Flying Dutchman, and the father of Will Turner, Bootstrap Bill Turner, who melts with the ship as the time goes by. He is also the one who says to Elizabeth and Will the sentence, quote, "part of the ship, part of the crew," which the crew of the ship repeats again as Will Turner turns into the captain of that ship. But I have one more example. It's the Supernatural series. And here it is Dean, who was also stuck in a purgatory and adapted to it to survive. Afterwards, he said that he kind of liked it because of the simplicity he experienced there. You know why he liked the simplicity? Just in case you don't know, it was because he just had to fight for survival. Kill or die, that's all. Nothing more to think about. No human-generated ridiculous rules, no expectations, no responsibilities. To sum this up, no earth-based external disturbances. Just he himself and the fight modus. This example shows precisely that all suffering, all blah blah blah, on this planet we call Earth is a human-generated nonsense to let us suffer from any external influence, which we don't want. But what? You know it? But we get used to it the longer we stay here. The word here is a good keyword because there is another very example from our all day life. When you have moved to another country, or just to another city or village nearby even, you, sooner or later, good or bad, you adapt to the energy of this area, naturally, in a way that you don't even recognize the change you went through, and so that you have changed even. until maybe your close friends or family tells you so. What you then probably are denying at first. Why? Because you did not realize the change happening, that you already fully adapted to this area. You think that you are still you, but the energy of that environment has changed you, whether for good or for bad. But here's the thing about consciousness. When you are in full awareness of your energy field, you have the great chance to recognize the changes mostly sooner than later. Especially when there are bad and dense energies around and surrounding you. Meaning, when you recognize bad energy, you probably move away from that area as fast as you possibly can. But for the time period, you have to stay there because, well, of course, you need to find another shelter. You protect yourself from those energies, maybe by wearing protective healing stones and or placing them in your home, cleansing yourself and your home with incenses, for example, calling upon guardian spirits who can protect you, so you can stay there safe and sound as long as it needs for you to find another place and space. This is the huge advantage you have by being receptive, awake, and aware and connected to yourself and higher self, as well as to your source, literally, okay? Of course you can say, ma'am, what are you talking about? I can't go anywhere. We have no other planet to live on right now, right? Seems so, right? In fact, for this reality, for this planet, it's unfortunately true. But this is why we need to stay connected to our source. We need to love and appreciate our very individual sources. We need to hold the light within. We need to appreciate the inner voices, signs and knowledge coming from our ancestors as well. Because by staying connected to our source and holding as well as spreading the knowledge for good, no one can bother you. Well, there will always be creatures trying to bother and even destroy you. But by staying by yourself, by knowing thyself, you don't entertain them. And with that, you don't lose karma points on them. On the very contrary, they create dense karma points on their accounts. Shortly, just don't entertain them. Long term short, the more time you spend somewhere, the more you adapt to, aka or even melt into it, kind of naturally. The more you can't separate the truth anymore, because this is the truth now for you, right? Just like in the previously given examples, and yes, this planet called Earth is actually likewise a planet of survival, but ridiculous because of those human-generated things we talked and still talk about. Meaning, don't judge another zodiac, don't judge another human creature at all. Just because he or she is different or has a zodiac sign which you personally maybe don't like. Remember, when you say, quote, I don't like this zodiac or this person, you are the one who doesn't like them. It's literally in the sentence itself, because you use yourself by saying I. And I, also in psychology, it's connected to your ego. Even Sigmund Freud called and wrote about especially the 3 levels of egoism. Spirit is whispering, some are not believing in that ego thing. Well, don't believe me. It's absolutely okay. Just don't. You are welcome to do your own research about it. I would recommend that because this would mean that you gain knowledge and do something for yourself and the higher good, which everyone can profit from. So go and do your research, honey. Because at least you are the one to check your very account and ask yourself the question, why? Every zodiac is here, exactly here. It has to be here so we can learn from them and vice versa. So go and gain proper knowledge from the source, not from the popular things, okay? And teach and help others as well. This is how you can rub out your dense karma points from your account, by the way. But alert, or beto, as long as it does not go dangerously sideways. I am not saying that you should tolerate just everything. No, that's not what I'm saying here. When someone went way too far, even with energetic violence, so that you feel sick and ill, aka your health even is really suffering, go. Just go and leave the toxic behind. Don't make the mistake to entertain their behavior, which can suddenly lead to destruction coming from you. And this is not what Spirit wants to happen, because this would mean that you also create dense karma points. You don't want to mess with karma points of others. Remember that suffering topic, and that your karma points were in need of purification and what happened to you and your loved ones. Remember that their level is another level as yours. There is no need to entertain and with that to support that behavior, because otherwise your soul will die, and the rest I don't want to even imagine. Meaning that generally and metaphorically speaking, within these actual energies, your fight mechanism immediately can kick in. As soon as you are maybe not used to something, especially within the realm above. Not saying that you can't do anything or that you're a bad person. No, definitely not. That's not what I'm saying. You, let's say, need more time to adapt step by step, and to release energies which do not serve you, even if you are short-clocked right now. Ideally, you create a plan by surrendering to Spirit and the elements of air and fire. And with their support, you can hopefully ethically and without any violence at all work through it. This is why Spirit is saying hold yourself tight to an air sign person, especially to an Aqua or Libra, or to someone who holds both even, or all three signs, meaning Aquarius, Libra, and Sagittarius. Spirit is saying the best combination for you would be an Aquarius whose rising sign is Saggy and the moon sign a Libra. But of course, to find this precise constellation is not that easy, I know. It's even like an order, right? But who knows? Call it out to the multiverse and trust into the divine timing. Because when Spirit is giving you such an exact constellation, there's a given chance that such a person is already in your environment. You maybe just don't know it. At least you don't know for certain. If I were you, ask. Just ask. Or as mentioned, call it out to the multiverse. Because even when Spirit gives you coordinates, Spirit of course knows that it's not easy to find someone who holds these exact attributes. But you can come very close. Because it can also be an exam by Spirit to see how much do you really want to change the course for good. Meaning maybe there's an aqua sign you trust only without the other attributes. But it can be that Spirit wants you to figure the rest out by yourself to gain knowledge and be creative by that. Remember, there are always ways to change and switch perspectives for good. So yes, it can be that some very fast zodiacs are getting mad by this Scorpion energy and start to bother even a Scorpio, which can be, as I said, very challenging because they just strictly stick to their plan no matter what, and this behavior seems selfish and narcissistic to others. But attention, or bedo, perception. It's the same for a Scorpio as well. They can also perceive their counterpart as an ego-driven person. Well, generally speaking, when you are not used to something, but you wanna or have to adapt to it, you have to learn it by seeking proper knowledge or by creating something which supports you. Example, let's take a look at birds. They can fly, we can't. We are just able to fly with external tools. Or cats, they can see clearly at night, while we as humans are struggling and are also in need of an external lighting or vision tool, right? Sorry, pardon me. Or even special glasses and cameras means that we have to seek and build proper knowledge to be able to create a supporting tool with which we are then able to fly and see. And so a Scorpio does, with a strict step-by-step plan, create at least something. And because it was and is still tough or even impossible for some to handle, some of you, or to be more specific, Spirit is telling me, the majority did this year devastating things also to other fellow peeps. Unfortunately, especially to your loved ones, and so to yourself as well. Meaning, Spirit is showing me depictions of you, metaphorically speaking, riding on a snake. This tells us, because of that handling thing, that you have picked a fellow creature as a body, so to say, to strengthen your warrior-like abilities, which are now more present and active because of Mars and Pluto. But basically, they were there to guide you and help you to keep yourself strongly together. But you decided to turn into another direction and violated your guardians as well. And here Spirit is giving me depictions of a serpent literally and dangerously sliding on a knife's blade and being in a fatal, deadly risk to be cut. This is why Spirit called me to cut you off from these energies, likewise with a blade of a pure iron knife, because it has to be from nature, so that this translation and the purification helps you to ground yourself, so you can lay your head on Mother Gaia's lap and rest peacefully, while she's covering your soul with motherly love. So yes, you have karma work to do urgently. As long as you have the opportunity to fix something somehow, as long as your loved ones are there in this realm and are reachable to you. You were in the darkness for way far too long and have forgotten how it is to follow the light towards the sun by surrendering to the element of air. But we all need balance. Your scale is not properly working anymore. It got damaged while fighting. The darkness almost covered your life, and because you were used to it, because it was somehow familiar, you grabbed and pulled your loved ones into the darkness, into purgatory as well. So your life is challenging for you all for a long time now, right? You're always running out of time, right? You and your loved ones lose weight even, Spirit is telling me. And some closest loved ones got ill, unfortunately. Spirit is showing me some actual scenes of especially elderly women throwing up and crying, which are connected to scenes of repeating cycles of unnecessary fights with loved ones, and is simultaneously reminding you that they still love you, but that they are really so helpless about what you do. Pardon me, what to do. Because as I said, they don't understand. For them, they perceive this actually strange behavior, which came out of thin air, as a cold-blooded, ignorant, and even narcissistic behavior against themselves personally, which hits their nerves and hearts, and with that shook their fundamental trust, their roots, so to say, towards yourself deeply. They feel no more loved. You who hear spirits calling, you know how this feeling can destroy your existence. Remember that. You don't want that really, and you don't want to mess with a karma of a mother or sibling or any other human being. Just don't do that. For you and the higher good and protection of all, just don't. As I am saying that, I literally hear them desperately trying to reach out to you, to your consciousness, by repeating communication. They are repeating words and sentences popping and flying around, which do not find their harbor, which is, or at least should be, your heart. So many tears. I can hear mothers crying, tears of desperate moms who just can't understand anything at all, but are still full of love, but desperate. Oh, goodness, this makes me deeply emotional. Spirit gives me words and sentences others have labeled, aka said to some of you while you were acting as mentioned. Oof, I hear so many bad and nasty things. Oh, no, I'm not going to tell them all. No, I'm not. I'm just not. But just tiny ones, okay, for some confirmation. To make it clear, I am just quoting here, okay, just quoting here. Here we go. There are words like nasty wall, ignorant bitch, why are you like this? You are not making stress, you are pure stress. You hate me, otherwise I can't explain your attacks and behavior towards me. There is a devil lying within you, etc. And I'm stopping here, okay? I stop here. There are way more words popping in my ears and in my mind, but I really stop here. That's enough. It's really enough. Are those labels familiar to those of you who receive the call from Spirit? I get the strong sense about an elderly sister also trying to stop. You, the ones you literally lost not only trust, but a very dear one who has transitioned lately as well. My genuine condolences. My really genuine condolences. That's tough and rough though. I am so sorry for all of you. And this is why we are here. This is why we are still talking about that tough and rough stuff, to calibrate and to change the course for good before you can't do anything at all. Spirit is holding those of you who need purification short tight, not giving you more time to be consciously or unconsciously destructive. Why? Remember why? Not because Spirit wants to limit or punish you, definitely not. Spirituality is not about punishing. The realm of earth is about punishment, not the spirit realm. The spirit realm is about embracing thyself, improving your soul for the highest good. Because some of you adapted into a reality and surrendered fully into it, which led you to be blind and destructive as well. You have non-stop something to do. Having a hard time to find any rest and sleep at all, right? This is Spirit's way now to protect you and your loved ones. Now, Spirit energies are keeping you busy for good, not the dense energy of this earth. It's now Spirit, but for good. Remember that. The symbols and synchronicities some decided to ignore by always having ridiculous, by the way, earthly excuses will stop. Generally speaking, there are good and bad news for those of you who know. I am going to start with the unfortunate news. The stress level for those particular ones will continue. For how long, you may ask? Spirit is saying as long as there is enough time to create ridiculous excuses, unstoppable bother, and violence towards the environment, and as long as the nuts are not assembled for good. The energy will not shift at all. It will stay stuck in that warlike box, continuing, let's say, with the stress level. The fatal thing is that it started a long time ago. First, slowly, but it got faster as long as the signs were ignored and started at some point to literally go sideways and show destructive effects. So yes, that's a warning before it shifts in a way that is not fixable anymore and ends up badly for some and their loved ones. It is a last call, a last even desperate call by Spirit, because time is literally and undeniably running. Remember, it's on you. You have the mighty power. It lies within you. So you decide by steadily asking yourself the question and facing yourself, quote, do I want to have good times by creating good karma and good deeds? Or do I continue to behave absurdly destructive and risk literally losing everything, any and everyone, as well as myself entirely? It's really tough and rough. But hey, it's facing time. The darkness has already fully covered some consciousness. So you decide now if you want to again ignore the clear, non-misunderstandable signs and synchronicities Spirit sent your way, or do you want to break out by cracking the curtains of the void? Spirit knows that you know what you really want. And still, Spirit is non-stop reminding and sending me reminders on your way. And now I am called to give you all an imaginable example. I have to point out it's a general example of a general rule everywhere. So here we go, generally speaking, okay? If someone creates consciously or unconsciously destruction, damages or injures something or someone, oneself has to fix or pay for it somehow. There is no space for any excuse at all. Of course, in the realm of earth, one can try some blah blah and see how far the energies carry it. And yes, it can be that with that blah blah, one manages to influence even a judge, for example. On this limited realm, by the way, don't forget that. So the judge judges perhaps someone else instead of, let's say, the human X who caused that trouble to pay for something, although this judged person didn't do anything wrong at all. The wrongly judged person is maybe suffering because of human X's violent and destructive behavior. So this very innocent person, which perhaps hardly tried to help and support you, by the way, gets multiple deeply hurtful punches right in the face. And this is, in fact, simultaneously a great injustice and pure violence, just because of egoistical earthly greed, which is generally and unfortunately present nowadays. And for that reason, we now, in this present time, experience wars and death. Facing everything what is going on in this earth realm, especially death, lies, and injustice, versus facing the own destruction, the self-created one seems to be the smaller problem, right? Because after all, you have the power to immediately change the course. So yes, it's just ridiculous what nasty things some humans create with their essentially divine free will. I am inviting you to think of that for a sec. Just consciously, just for a sec. Free will is the only thing in this realm called Earth, and in all other realms as well, which nobody and nothing can crack and grab from you unless you yourself hand it over by free will. Of course, there are forces which are unstoppably trying to grab that last light, which reminds us individually about our all-divine unique divinity, no matter what. The whole point is remembering. Remember who you were and who you are deep within by staying appreciatively connected to your source. Remember, doing some poor earthly blah 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 on this materialistic realm called Earth is not worth it to damage your divine light within. Here on a realm in which humans think that they are the kings and queens or even gods and goddesses of this realm called Earth, it's not worth it to cause bad karma points on your account, which you at least have to pay, remember? It's always a cycle, but it's not a natural cycle. It's a programmed, earthly based cycle of stranger things. See how ridiculous those thoughts are. We turn in circles here, around and around, and there seems no point. And see how far, aka how long this translation went. This is probably the longest one I ever did generally for my channels. It's not because I can't stop. I can stop things pretty well, actually. It's because Spirit is so loud and keeps repeating. So I don't have the right to cut and to stop the translation, especially if there are so massively strong messages coming through, which have to find you, my sparkling ones. So looking again, or remembering the earthly greedy beings on this realm, they themselves reduce and limit themselves only to this limited simulated realm, as if they would stay here forever. No one stays here forever, and no one, no matter how rich or not, no one can do anything with their wealth after transitioning. Your wealth as well as your avatar remains here. Just and only your soul leaves your avatar for transition. And depending on how you behave on this realm, your soul will find itself in higher realms or in the realms of the underworld until you have paid back your karma credits, if you haven't paid it on earth. No, neither me nor Spirit want to scare you. No, never. I, as the channeler and translator, I am here to help you improving your soul, supporting you to find ways for enlightenment. Your very individual equilibrium, being a good soul, a good human being, and leaving this realm when the right time is there, not with sensations of anger and fear, but with a purified soul, so that you hopefully afterwards don't need to be scared about any suffering at all. But remember, it's up to you. It's on your free will. Isn't it beautiful to know that you yourself are able to create your own beautiful garden, even now as you are here, which you can appreciate peacefully after transition, infinitively. See, fighting for a finite realm we call Earth, for something you can't have for eternity, something you have to leave behind, and even not knowing if the next generations are going to violate what you have created. You are, and we are all naked, and I don't mean without clothing or whatever. I mean it's just you yourself, one self, your soul, pure energy. No one to blame, no one to hurt, no excuses to tell, just your blank, pure soul. And here we go, honey sparkles. Here is the last chance, the last call to surrender to the elements of air, to find the light, the sun, to release unnecessary parts of the darkness, by, with the help of the elementals of fire, letting them burn under the sun and so balance out your yin and yang scale with light and darkness. Because darkness is not a bad thing in general. Humans created that programming, that darkness should be a scary thing to let us be fearful. But it's not. It's just not. Too much of something can be poisonous in general. A flame on a candle generally doesn't harm anyone or anything, right? But when you don't take care of that flame, it can get worse, meaning that too much fire would burn us hurtfully. See, we need urgent balance. We need that good portion of light within the darkness and vice versa. This is why we see a white dot in the dark area and a dark dot in the white area. They, with the very right portion, aka weight, they hold the perfect balance for both sides. Surrender to the element of air first, then fire, and then trust yourself and trust into the divine timing. In this sense, metaphorically speaking, release your heavy backpack, which you carried for far too long and which kept you stuck, made you blind and destructive. And don't get a backpack again, ever. And for this to adapt, the attributes of our Sagi will not only help you doing so, they also will politely remind you of that. And in this sense, remember, and again, remember and remember. If you want to repeat something, repeat remembering yourself about your divinity, honey. And so, bye-bye, my peeps. Love you lots.